पाकिस्तान से जो लोग हिंदू विस्थापित होकर के आते हैं, अपनी बहू बेटियों की इज्जत को बचाने के लिए वहां से अपना सब कुछ गंवा करके आते हैं, ऐसे गरीब लोगों की नैसर्गिक मातृभूमि भारत में उनको सुविधा प्रदान करने के लिए भारत सरकार यदि कानून बनाती है और गहलोत साहब उस सीए के एक्ट का विरोध करने के लिए एक मजहब विशेष के हजारों लोगों को लेकर के और पुलिस के संरक्षण में मार्च करते हैं, तब वो कौन सा कार्ड होता है? हिंदू त्योहारों पर प्रतिबंध लगाया जाता है, तब वो कौन सा कार्ड होता है? मंदिर गिराए जाते हैं, तब वो कौन सा कार्ड होता है? एक ही दिन में 2 घटनाएं, गरीब जो है दलित परिवार के 2 बच्चों को गैंगवार के आशंका में कुचल करके चिथड़े चिथड़े कर दिया जाता है। उनके परिवार के सदस्य 10 दिन तक सड़क पर बैठे रह करके सामान्य मुआवजे की मांग करते हैं, सरकार के कान तक वो बात नहीं पहुंचती। और एक रोड रेज की घटना में मारे जाने वाले व्यक्ति को 50 लाख रुपए 1 घंटे में दे करके गहलोत साहब ट्वीट करते हैं, तब वो कौन सा कार्ड होता है? अपने गिरेबान में झांक करके देखें कि धर्म की राजनीति कौन कर रहा है।
लेकिन उन्हें तो जादूगर कहा जाता है।
वो इसीलिए जादूगर कि उनको अपना किया हुआ शायद दिखता नहीं है, दूसरों का दिखाने की कोशिश करते हैं।
एक आखिरी सवाल, आपने कहा कि प्रचंड बहुमत से बीजेपी की सरकार बनने जा रही है, तो मुख्यमंत्री कौन बनेगा?
चलिए, ये सवाल तो 2-3 दिन के लिए विधायकों और पार्लियामेंट्री बोर्ड पर छोड़ दीजिए।
Switching our focus from Rajasthan, exit polls have predicted a win for the BJP in Madhya Pradesh. News 9 spoke to Sadhvi Pragya Singh Thakur, the BJP MP from Bhopal, about the BJP's chances to continue to be in government in Madhya Pradesh. Sadhvi expressed optimism about BJP's robust stance and potential to achieve a majority. She emphasized upon the party's comprehensive plans and schemes catering to diverse segments of society, underlining BJP's strong commitment to supporting the people. Listen in.
भोपाल सांसद साध्वी प्रज्ञा सिंह ठाकुर जी हमारे साथ हैं, उनसे बातचीत करते हैं। दीदी, एग्जिट पोल आपने देखे, 5-6 एग्जिट पोल आए हैं, कुछ में बीजेपी की सरकार बनती हुई दिखाई दे रही है, कुछ में कांग्रेस की सरकार बनती हुई दिखाई दे रही है, क्या प्रतिक्रिया आपकी?
जहां हम बहुत कम थे वहां पे हम बहुत अच्छी स्थिति में आ रहे हैं, लेकिन जहां हमने काम सरकार में रह करके किए हैं, हम वहां बहुमत से भी पार हो रहे हैं और लक्ष्य को भी आगे बढ़ाते हुए जा रहे हैं और भारतीय जनता पार्टी का कार्य बोलता है।
आप कह रहे हैं कि बहुमत से या लक्ष्य पार हो रहे हैं, लक्ष्य 116 का है, आपको लग रहा है इसके आसपास ही बीजेपी की सीटें आ रही है?
भाजपा का लक्ष्य 150 का था और इसलिए हम 150 से को भी आगे पाएंगे, तो हम लक्ष्य से आगे हैं।
ये तो एजेंसीज के सर्वे की बात हुई, आध्यात्मिक सर्वे क्या कह रहा है आप?
मेरा तो मैंने पहले ही डिक्लेयर कर दिया था कि भाजपा की सरकार बन रही है और बहुत अच्छे से बन रही है।
क्या मुद्दे रहे हैं इस बार? क्या ये लाडली बहना योजना शुरू हुई है, इसका इम्पैक्ट है, या कोई और चीजें आपको नजर आती है जिसके कारण बीजेपी की सरकार बनी?
लाडली बहना भी एक योजना है। इसके पहले भी जो योजनाएं चली हैं वो सब समाज के हित में है, लोगों के हित में है, हर वर्ग के हित में है, हर किसी का उत्थान हुआ है, रोजगार मिले हैं और महिलाओं को क्यों पीछे रखा जाए, ये भी एक विषय आगे आया है और इसलिए महिलाओं का भी उत्थान करते हुए बहनों के लिए भी योजना है, माताओं के लिए योजना है, गर्भवती माताओं के लिए योजना है, कन्याओं के लिए योजना है, उनके विवाह की योजनाएं हैं, लोगों को घर मिले वो योजना है, उज्ज्वला गैस योजना है, उनकी आंखों को तकलीफ नहीं हो, मातृशक्ति को भी अच्छे से सुख से भोजन बनाने और खिलाने का प्रसन्नता से अधिकार है, तो और कोई भूखा ना रहे। आपातकाल भी अगर विपत्ति काल भी अगर आता है, प्राकृतिक आपदा भी आती है, तो भाजपा की सरकार में जिस प्रकार से समाज का सहयोग किया जाता है, समाज वास्तव में बहुत साथ दे रही है और जनता कहती है समाज साथ में, और समाज कहता है कि ऐसी सरकार मैंने कभी नहीं देखी, ऐसा जीवन अब हमें जो मिल रहा है, इसलिए हम साथ में हैं भाजपा के।
ये तो आपने उन सर्वे की बात कर ली जहां बीजेपी की सरकार बन रही है, जहां कांग्रेस की सरकार बन रही है, वहां आपको क्या लगता है क्या कमी रह गई होगी?
भाजपा की सरकार सभी तरफ आ रही है, हम ये बिल्कुल मान के नहीं चल रहे हैं कि भाजपा कहीं पीछे है।
इसके बाद लोकसभा की भी तैयारियां हैं,
बिल्कुल समय आ रहा है उसका भी।
आपकी तैयारी ठीक चल रही है भोपाल में?
ये तो जनता बताती है। आज हम एड्स का जो चल रहा है, एड्स से बचाव के लिए, तो वो हम आज हमारी जनता आई हुई है और हम भोपाल से लेकर के पूरे देश को ये संदेश देना चाहते हैं कि एड्स जैसे रोग हमारे भारतीय परिवेश के नहीं हैं, इनको यहाँ नहीं रहना चाहिए। आप सावधान रहिए, आपको किसी भी प्रकार से किसी के भी उसमें आप अगर डॉक्टर के संपर्क में आते हैं, अगर नर्स इंजेक्शन लगाती है, आपका अधिकार है कि आप उसको देख करके लगवाइए कि कहीं कोई दूसरे से टच किया हुआ सोया हो, दूसरे से टच किया हुआ कहीं कोई ब्लड आपको ना लग जाए, ये आपकी सावधानी है, ये सब आपको करना चाहिए। और इंजेक्शन भी आप अगर लगवा रहे हैं, नर्स लगा रही है, तो आपको ध्यान होना चाहिए कि कितनी सावधानी रखी जा रही है, आप कह सकते हैं उसको। और इस प्रकार से एक जागरण जो देश में आना चाहिए, हम भोपाल के साथ पूरे देश से कहते हैं आप सावधान रहिए और सचेत रहिए अपने अधिकारों के प्रति और रोग से मुक्त रहिए। ये एड्स जैसे रोग जानलेवा होते हैं, इसलिए इनसे बचिए और स्वस्थ रहिए, प्रसन्न रहिए।
एक आखिरी सवाल, चूंकि लोकसभा का जिक्र हो गया, आप चाहती हैं दिग्विजय सिंह एक बार फिर से आपके सामने आए?
देखिए, ऐसा है कि भाजपा चुनौतियों का सामना करती रही है और इनके पास कोई भी ऐसा नहीं है कि जो भारतीय जनता पार्टी को ऐसी चुनौती दे सके कि भारतीय जनता पार्टी घबरा जाए। कदापि नहीं है, क्योंकि संगठन का जो निर्णय रहता है वो एकदम सटीक रहता है और बहुत अच्छी तैयारी है। भाजपा की सदैव तैयारी रहती है, उनको विशेष कुछ नहीं करना पड़ता कि अब ये आ गया इसलिए अब ये विशेष कुछ करें। वो तो निरंतर विकास करते हैं, इसलिए हम निरंतर तैयार हैं।
चलिए, साध्वी प्रज्ञा सिंह ठाकुर हमसे बातचीत कर रही थी। काफ़ी कॉन्फिडेंट है कि सारे ही राज्यों में बीजेपी की सरकार आ रही है। दूसरी तरफ लोकसभा को लेकर भी उनकी तैयारियां पूरी तरह से चल रही है।
Now, exit polls have given the Congress a lead in the Telangana Assembly elections. The BRS seems to be losing ground, while the third player, the BJP, has been predicted to be limited to just 5 to 7 seats. Listen in to T. Raja Singh of the BJP on the exit polls.
और एग्जिट पोल में कांग्रेस की बढ़त बता रहा है और टीआरएस की थोड़ी सीटें कम हो रही है, ऐसा बता रहा है, थोड़ी की अच्छी सीट कम हो रही है और बीजेपी को बढ़त बता रहा है। हमने इससे पहले भी कहा था कुछ चैनलों में कि किसी को अच्छी सी मेजोरिटी नहीं आएगी, हंग होगा असेंबली इस बार। तो मैं समझता हूं कांग्रेस और बीआरएस जो चुनाव मिलकर लड़ी है, जहां जहां डम्मी डालना है डम्मी डाला है लोगों ने मिलजुल कर, तो कांग्रेस और बीआरएस मिलकर सरकार बनाएगी तेलंगाना में। ऐसा मुख्यमंत्री जी शायद अभी भी नींद में हैं, वो अभी भी सोच रहे कि सरकार मेरी ही बन रही है और मैं 4 तारीख के दिन कैबिनेट मीटिंग लगाऊंगा, फिर उसमें मुख्यमंत्री, डिप्टी मुख्यमंत्री, होम मिनिस्टर, अभी भी वो सपना देख रहे। लेकिन मुख्यमंत्री जी, आप सपने से बाहर निकलिए, आपका काम तमाम हो चुका है, आपकी सरकार नहीं बन रही है।
Now, tomorrow is the all-important day. Tomorrow is when we'll get to know the results of the 4-state election. Now, of course, Mizoram also was set to give its mandate tomorrow, but the counting, beg your pardon, has deferred there. The counting will now take place on Monday instead of tomorrow, that is Sunday. Do stay tuned to News 9 to get to know the accurate results of Madhya Pradesh, Telangana, Rajasthan, and in fact, Chhattisgarh as well. Thank you very much.
चलो जी, कौनी मिले वोट जी।
गाली भड़काने वाली स्पीच हो रही है।
केसीआर की आदत झूठे वायदे करके उन्हें तोड़ देने की है।
केसीआर, चैन की नींद मत सो, आपका समय अब समाप्त हो चुका है।
जब तक केसीआर जिंदा है तब तक तेलंगाना रियासत एक सेक्युलर रियासत ही बने रहेगा।
मारूफू कवाली, कांग्रेस रवाली।
मध्य प्रदेश जो है भ्रष्टाचार का कैपिटल है।
Now, Manipur Chief Minister Biren Singh has thanked the Centre for the Peace Agreement with United National Liberation Front. This is the first time a Manipur Valley-based armed group has agreed to abjure violence, join the mainstream. Biren Singh said time will reveal all details, but that he would like to congratulate and appreciate Prime Minister Modi for his initiative to bring peace and normalcy in the state of Manipur. Listen in.
A little bit confidential. I cannot expose right now. Time will tell everything. And I would like to congratulate and appreciate the Honorable Prime Minister Modi ji for his initiative to bring peace and normalcy in the state of Manipur, particularly in the entire Northeast also. And I also thank the Honorable Union Home Minister Amit Shah ji for his relentless effort to bring peace and normalcy in the state of Manipur. Under his initiative, this agreement was signed. And once again, I also like to thank the cadres and the members of the United National Liberation Front, UNLF of Manipur, for coming up for the peace agreement.
A robbery of 18 crore rupees has been reported at a PSU bank in the northeastern state of Manipur. As per reports, armed dacoits with faces covered by masks looted 18.80 crore rupees in cash from a branch of a public sector bank in Manipur's Ukhrul district. The robbers were carrying sophisticated weapons and reached the bank in Ukhrul town, which is located around 80 km from the state capital, Imphal. With the help of the weapons, the thieves were able to overpower the security personnel and looted the amount from the vault after threatening the staff. Right on your screens is the Manipur police now taking to platform X and apprising people of the situation. They write, in connection with the incident of looting of Punjab National Bank, Ukhrul, on the 30th of November 2023 by armed miscreants, Manipur police and security forces are making all-out efforts to nab the culprits. Nakas and checkpoints have been alerted. Senior officers of the rank of IGP and DIGP are supervising the investigation and operations in this regard. Now, as per the police, the miscreants, some of whom were in camouflage uniform, locked up the employees and the security personnel inside the washroom of the bank, and one of the senior staff was made to open the vault at gunpoint, following which the robbers looted the money. A complaint has been registered at Ukhrul police station. The police started examining CCTV footage to identify the culprits. Moving on now, the Lok Sabha Ethics Committee will be tabling its report in the Parliament in the all-important Mahua Moitra cash for query case on the 4th of December, which is the first day of the winter session of the Parliament. The report adopted by the committee earlier this month proposes the expulsion of the TMC MP Moitra from the Lok Sabha. 6 members of the ethics panel supported the report on the charge against TMC MP Mahua Moitra, while 4 members had opposed it. Lok Sabha Speaker Om Birla had ordered the ethics panel inquiry against Moitra based on a complaint from BJP MP Nishikant Dubey. Dubey had accused the TMC leader of taking a bribe from businessman Darshan Hiranandani for asking questions in Parliament. Opposition members have termed the report a fixed match and said that the complaint filed by Nishikant Dubey was not supported by even a shred of evidence, quote-unquote. Mahua Moitra can be expelled only if the House votes in favour of the panel's recommendation. The winter session of Parliament begins on Monday and is scheduled to continue till the 22nd December. Now let's take a look at what's been happening on the climate front. The Central Pollution Control Board reported that several areas in the national capital recorded very poor air quality. According to official data, Anand Vihar and Ashok Vihar exhibited very poor air quality, although there is a slight improvement from the previous day when both areas were categorized as severe. Residents expressed concerns about health issues related to pollution, with one individual mentioning breathing problems and others noting the high pollution levels affecting children. Delhi Environment Minister Gopal Rai mentioned on Wednesday that GRAP 3 has been lifted in the national capital, but efforts are underway to ensure strict implementation of GRAP 1 and 2. Moving from India to the neighboring Pakistan, the air quality remains the same. Residents and medical professionals in Karachi are expressing heightened health concerns due to severe air pollution as the city grapples with toxic smog. As of Friday, the 1st of December, Karachi held the 4th position on a real-time list of the world's most polluted cities. The air quality has been categorized as unhealthy according to the AQI scale, which designates values between 101 and 200 as such, particularly for sensitive groups. This alarming situation highlights the recurring issue of smog in Pakistani cities like Karachi and Lahore, especially preceding winter, when cold air traps pollutants from various sources, including vehicles, industries, construction dust, and burning of agricultural waste. Prime Minister Narendra Modi, speaking at the COP-28 summit, called on all nations to work together to cut global emissions drastically and announced a green credit initiative that focuses on creating carbon skins with people's participation. At the COP-28 climate summit in Dubai, Prime Minister Modi said India's emissions are very low compared to other nations whose population is much less. Referring to the nationally determined contribution, a climate action plan to cut emissions and adapt to climate impacts, Prime Minister Modi said India's population is 17% of the global population, but in global carbon emissions, India is only at 4%. We are moving fast in achieving the NDC targets. Prime Minister Modi also proposed India to be the host of the COP-23 summit, which is scheduled to take place in 2028.
17% आबादी होने के बावजूद ग्लोबल कार्बन एमिशंस में हमारी हिस्सेदारी ओनली 4% से भी कम है। भारत विश्व की उन कुछ इकोनॉमीज में से एक है जो एनडीसी टारगेट्स को पूरा करने की राह पर है। एमिशंस इंटेंसिटी संबंधी टारगेट्स को हमने 11 साल पहले ही हासिल कर लिया है। नॉन फॉसिल फ्यूल टारगेट्स को हम निर्धारित समय से 9 साल पहले ही प्राप्त कर चुके हैं और भारत ने इतने पर ही नहीं रुके हैं। हमारा लक्ष्य 2030 तक एमिशंस इंटेंसिफाई को 45% घटाना है। हमने तय किया है कि नॉन फॉसिल फ्यूल का शेयर हम बढ़ाकर 50% करेंगे और हम 2070 तक नेट जीरो के लक्ष्य की तरफ भी बढ़ते रहेंगे।
A record-breaking drought has sapped the Amazon River and 4 of its biggest tributaries to their lowest levels in at least half a century, as scientists anticipate the next year could bring an even more intense drought.
From killing hundreds of endangered river dolphins to threatening the livelihoods of millions of people, this is the impact of the Amazon rainforest's historic drought. It sapped the Amazon River and 4 of its biggest tributaries to their lowest level in at least half a century. And the worst may be yet to come. Experts are predicting an even more intense drought next year due to extreme ocean temperatures worsened by global warming.
What is expected is that next year there will still be a drought due to this year's low water levels. And that happens because the water reserve will be compromised and also because of this year's drought.
Amazonas, which has been hit hardest by the drought, declared a public emergency in September. The state has delivered drinking water and food staples via aircraft and smaller boats. Helicopters are working overtime to airlift the sick. Meanwhile, thousands of students are enrolled in online classes because they can no longer get to school. The federal government has pledged millions of dollars towards relief efforts.
The human side is the one that suffers these consequences the most.
9 scientists interviewed by Reuters said the effects of the drought will only begin to recede with the onset of the rainy season in late 2024. 5 of those scientists didn't expect the Amazon to recover before 2026. They expect it will take 2 healthy rainy seasons to restore normal soil moisture in the rainforest. But even that could change based on El Niño. The naturally occurring phenomenon roils global weather every 2 to 7 years. As it warms waters off the Pacific coast of South America, it pulls rains in that direction, depressing precipitation in the Amazon. The current El Niño is estimated to last until mid-2024.
In the small village of Serd, which has supplied most of Hungary's with Christmas trees for decades, villagers worry their livelihood could be in danger as pine forests are shrinking due to climate change.
The small village of Serd has supplied Hungary with Christmas trees for decades. But the pine forests there are shrinking due to climate change, threatening the livelihoods of local villagers.
If this continues and we do not change the climate, then we will have big problems.
In 2022, Hungary's pine forests covered more than 430,000 acres of land. That's down from over 450,000 acres in 2019, according to National Land Centre data. Some of these trees are not indigenous to Hungary, but were planted in the early 20th century. Pines have been adversely impacted by global warming, not just because of more frequent droughts. They're also being destroyed by wood-boring insects, which tend to proliferate in warmer weather. In the hills of Serd, Hungarians grow up to 2 million pine trees near the Croatian border. Growers say they now have to spray their plantations 3 times a year with insecticides to fend off the bugs. János Kanaz is the mayor of Serd and a pine tree grower.
Unfortunately, things are going a bad way, in the sense that the spruce trees have been hit by the infestation. And other types of pine trees must also be sprayed 3 times now. The spruce trees are the worst affected. It is in vain to spray them. The wood-boring insects go in deeply, and we cannot halt the disease. We now have to spray from early on, when the trees are small. Since I started more than 10 years ago, there have been more and more diseases affecting the pine trees. And it is costing us more and more, because we have to spray the pine trees to save them.
Kanaz says villagers ought to raise prices by about 20% this year due to the cost of insecticide. But this is not possible, as Hungarians have been hit by double-digit inflation and will not be able to afford to pay more for their Christmas trees.
Everyone would like to sell their pine trees, as that is their living. They have to put a lot of work into it, and they rather sell at last year's prices than not being able to sell. We are all seeing that people have run out of their money.
While pine trees are unlikely to disappear in Hungary, the share of pine forests will inevitably decrease further. That's according to Laszlo Galidi, a forest program officer at the World Wildlife Fund Hungary.
Hungary's continental climate is not really favorable for pine trees, and this has been coupled with the strengthening impacts from climate change, with long droughts and warmer summers. This has resulted in various insects being able to attack these trees more easily and more severely.
As COP-28 gets underway in Dubai, campaigners are warning we could face a global food production crisis if the planet's soil is not protected for future generations.
Nearly a third of the Earth's soil is degraded, and an area the size of a soccer field is eroded every 5 seconds, according to UN figures from 2020. Those close to the issue say the planet is in a crisis.
We're quite literally losing soil and therefore the ability to produce food. So we need to change something. We know that soil is the future, and by helping soil do its job better, we're hopefully going to produce food in a more environmentally friendly way.
That's Danielle Semple from Farm Ed in the UK. She's at their demonstration farm that has increased the amount of organic matter in the soil through sustainable techniques. Farm Ed grows fruit, vegetables, and wheat using an 8-year crop rotation system that does not need fertilizer or pesticides, which are both made from oil and gas.
We know farming and food production is not sustainable anymore. What we're trying to do here is demonstrate all of the different practices that farmers, growers, policymakers, advisors, agronomists could implement on the land. We're not saying what we're doing is the be-all and end-all. We're just saying that these things are possibilities within a regenerative and sustainable farming and food production.
Henry Asplin is with Save Soil, a global campaign to raise awareness about soil health. Save Soil says raising organic matter in soil to a minimum of 3 to 6% based on regional conditions is key to making sure it remains healthy.
There isn't one necessarily way of bringing organic matter back into soil, and as a movement we aren't trying to tell farmers how they need to manage their soil. It's just imperative that farmers are supported to make sure there is a minimum level of organic matter or life in their soil. And this can be done through policy change and incentivizing.
He says a failure to implement sustainable policies could have a serious impact on future generations.
There are various predictions, various different estimates, but we may reach a point where we aren't able to grow food anymore, that there's no life in our soil. And actually, organic matter depleting isn't just relevant for food. This soil dying will release carbon back into the atmosphere, have a huge biodiversity collapse if this happens.
Let's now take a look at what's been happening on the Israel-Hamas war front, where truce came to an end yesterday early morning.
The following content may contain visuals that are disturbing, graphic, or sensitive in nature. Viewer discretion is advised. This material is intended for mature audiences and may not be suitable for all viewers. Please exercise caution while watching, and if you find such content distressing, we recommend discontinuing viewing. This disclaimer is provided to ensure awareness and to prioritize viewer well-being.
Now, the war between Israel and Hamas has entered its 57th day. Let's get you the latest update from the war front. Israel continues to pound Gaza since resumption of fighting. 184 Palestinians have been killed since truce ended on Friday morning. That is what the Gaza authorities have said. No humanitarian aid allowed into Gaza on Friday. That is what UNRWA has stated. Rafah crossing will remain open on Saturday. Gaza has said now Gaza is the most dangerous place in the world to be a child. That is what UNICEF has stated. UN regrets resumption of hostilities, calls the situation catastrophic. Deeply disappointing is what Rishi Sunak has said on the breakdown of the truce. Israeli shelling in South Lebanon has killed 3 people. That is what the Lebanese media has claimed. Israel, meanwhile, has also launched air attacks near Damascus. That is what Syria has claimed. Now, the war in Gaza recommenced as Israel's defense forces bombarded the strip with their airstrikes and artillery. Our reporter on the ground, Vipin Chaubey, will take you through the situation in Palestine at the present moment. Take a look.
हम इस वक्त तेल अवीव से गाजा बॉर्डर के रास्ते में हैं और आप एक बार फिर से देखिए इस तरह की गाड़ियां, बख्तरबंद गाड़ियां, आर्मी के टैंक्स, इसके अलावा जो मिसाइल कैरियर्स है वो सब आपको नजर नहीं आती थी बीच में, लेकिन अब स्टॉप फॉर 1 मिनट, लेकिन अब वो आपको यहां पर नजर आ रही है। ये तमाम तैयारियां की जा रही हैं सीजफायर टूटने के बाद और इन गाड़ियों को बिल्कुल तैयार रहने के लिए कहा गया है। फिलहाल आप इन गाड़ियों की तैनाती को देख सकते हैं और इसके जरिए आप ये समझने की कोशिश करिए कि वॉर कैसे बढ़ रहा है। माना यह जा रहा है कि अब तक जो वॉर हुआ है उससे विभत्स ये वॉर होगा और उसकी तस्दीक करती हुई ये तस्वीर आपको नजर आ रही है। अब देखिए बिल्कुल करीब से उन टैंक्स की तस्वीरें, उन तोपों की तस्वीरें जो बॉर्डर पर इस युद्ध को लड़ेंगी। फिलहाल यहां हमें रुकने की इजाजत नहीं है, इसलिए चलती गाड़ी से इन तस्वीरों को दिखाने का मकसद यही था कि आप ये समझिए कैसे इस युद्ध को आप दूसरे तरीके से लड़ने जा रहा है। और ये पार्ट 2 कहा जा रहा है। सीज फायर के बाद पहली बार इस युद्ध को अब दोबारा से शुरू किया जा रहा है और माना यह जा रहा है कि पहले से भी ज्यादा विध्वंसक ये युद्ध होगा। कैमरा पर्सन गंगा के साथ विपिन चौबे, TV9 भारतवर्ष, स्टे रोड, गाजा स्ट्रिप। इस वक्त हम गाजा के रास्ते में हैं और अभी देखिए जैसे ही रास्ते में जा रहे हैं इस तरीके से हमले किए जा रहे हैं और ये वो रॉकेट्स आ रहे हैं गाजा पट्टी के इलाके से जिनको आयरन डोम निष्क्रिय कर रहा है। ये देखिए कैसे कैसे ये आया है और इसको हवा में कैसे निष्क्रिय किया गया है। सामने की तरफ दिखाइए गंगा, वहां पर काला उठता हुआ धुआं उस ट्रांसफार्मर के बगल से, मतलब युद्ध विध्वंसक हो रहा है और उसके प्रमाण, उसकी तस्दीक करती हुई ये तस्वीरें देखिए। आयरन डोम बॉर्डर के इलाके में बहुत ज्यादा सक्रिय है। आज सुबह 7 बजे से जो सीज फायर की बुनियाद है वो टूट चुकी है और उसके बाद से लगातार दोनों तरफ से हमले किए जा रहे हैं और हमलों के बाद देखिए कैसे चेक पोस्ट पर तैनाती को बढ़ा दिया गया। ये बंकर है जहां पर जैसे ही ये हमला हुआ है लोग इस बंकर में आकर छिप गए हैं। देखिए इस बंकर को हम आपको दिखाने की कोशिश करते हैं। इसी तरह के बंकर्स जगह जगह पर बनाए गए हैं और आयरन डोम इस तरह के हमले को फिलहाल निष्क्रिय कर रहा है और रास्तों में भी लोग डरे सहमे नजर आ रहे हैं। बॉर्डर की तरफ ले चलेंगे आपको, वहां क्या कुछ है वो भी आपको दिखाएंगे, लेकिन फिलहाल ये समझते चलिए कि स्थिति और भी विध्वंसक होने जा रही है। कैमरा पर्सन गंगा के साथ विपिन चौबे, TV9 भारतवर्ष, गाजा बॉर्डर।
Moving on now, the EU's drug watchdog will request more data from makers of a class of diabetes and weight loss drugs, including Novo Nordisk's popular therapies, to further investigate suicidal thoughts in some patients taking them.
The EU's drug watchdog will seek more data from certain makers of diabetes and weight loss drugs to further investigate suicidal thoughts in some patients taking them. This includes Novo Nordisk's popular medicines Ozempic and Wegovy. On Friday, the European Medicines Agency said in a statement that while at this point no conclusion can be drawn on a causal association, there are several issues that still need to be clarified. The move followed a review that started in July and covered a range of drugs known as GLP-1 receptor agonists. This type of drug triggers a feeling of fullness after eating and slow gastric emptying, and includes Eli Lilly's Trulicity, Sanofi's Suliqua, and Novo's Saxenda. The EMA had initially received reports from the Icelandic Medicines Agency based on 2 cases involving an active ingredient in Saxenda and 1 case involving an active ingredient in Ozempic and Wegovy. The review was also based on at least 170 case reports from Udravigilance, a system to register suspected adverse reactions to medicines. Separately, Reuters reported in September that the US Food and Drug Administration had received 265 reports of suicidal thoughts or behaviour in patients taking GLP-1 medication between 2010 and June 2023. The FDA said at the time it was reviewing such reports to decide on what action, if any, to take. Issues of suicidal thoughts have hobbled previous attempts by the drug industry to develop lucrative weight loss drugs. But obesity experts have said that reduced calorie intake as a result of strict dieting or gastric surgery can also lead to depression in rare cases. The EMA's move marked the first major global regulator to provide an update on such reviews of these drugs. The Watchdog's Risk Assessment Committee, which monitors drugs' side effects, will return to the topic in April 2024.
Now, the fight against malaria faces a significant threat due to the climate crisis. Mosquitoes, the disease carriers, are thriving in the warming, humid conditions. WHO Director General Tedros Adhanom states that urgent, sustainable responses are crucial. The latest World Malaria Report reveals a worrying 5-fold increase in cases in Pakistan after severe flooding, providing a breeding ground for mosquitoes. The number of global malaria cases in 2022 is considerably higher than pre-COVID levels, with a rise in deaths to 608,000 last year. Pregnant women and children under 5 are most vulnerable. The report also emphasizes other threats, including insecticide resistance and an invasive mosquito species. WHO highlights the climate crisis as a major threat to the battle against malaria. Evidence indicates that extreme weather and rising temperatures have caused a surge in cases. Mosquitoes thriving in warm and humid conditions found ideal breeding grounds in standing water, contributing to a 5-fold increase in cases in flood-affected Pakistan. Previously malaria-free African highland areas are now vulnerable. Global malaria cases in 2022 remain significantly higher than pre-pandemic levels, with deaths rising from 5.76 lakh in 2019 to 6.08 lakh last year. Now, this is equivalent to nearly 12,000 lives lost weekly. WHO emphasizes the urgent need for sustainable and resilient malaria responses.
The World Malaria Report shows that progress towards key global targets for reducing malaria case, incidence, and death rates is off track by a wide margin. Given current trends, continuing with the status quo will only lead us further off track. We highlight a number of key actions in the report that are needed to get back on track. First, we need to step up financing. In 2022 alone, there was a global malaria funding gap of $3.7 billion. Second, we need robust political will. Countries must translate their political commitment to universal health coverage into tangible actions and resource that will save lives.
Now, retired Justice Sandra Day O'Connor, the first woman of the US Supreme Court whose centrist views and shrewd negotiating skills allowed her to steer the nation's law for much of her quarter-century tenure, died on Friday at the age of 93.
And today, I rise, along with my colleagues representing all of Arizona, Republicans and Democrats alike, to honor the life and legacy of the most influential Arizonan in history, Justice Sandra Day O'Connor.
Sandra Day O'Connor, the first woman to sit on the U.S. Supreme Court, died on Friday at the age of 93. The court said in a statement that O'Connor died in Phoenix of complications related to dementia and a respiratory illness. She grew up in Arizona and lived there most of her life. O'Connor was sworn in as the first female Supreme Court justice in 1981, an appointee of then Republican President Ronald Reagan. She was conservative by nature, having grown up in an Arizona ranch family. But her pragmatism and knack for consensus building put her at the court's ideological center. As a former Republican state senator and later Arizona's Senate Majority Leader, another first-in-the-nation achievement, O'Connor understood how to strategize with colleagues to get a majority decision. Over her quarter-century tenure, O'Connor avoided sweeping pronouncements and voted for incremental change. And over time, her views became more liberal. She was a pivotal vote on some of the most contentious issues of her era, including preserving a woman's right to abortion and upholding affirmative action on college campuses. O'Connor once compared her tenure to walking on wet cement, saying, "Every opinion you offer, you've left a footprint." She retired from the court in 2006, replaced by the more ideologically rigid conservative Justice Samuel Alito. After retirement, she dedicated herself to improving civics education. In 2009, former Democratic President Barack Obama presented O'Connor with the Presidential Medal of Freedom, the highest civilian honor a president can give.
The U.S. House of Representatives voted 311 and 114 to expel Republican George Santos, ending his brief career due to criminal corruption charges and campaign fund misuse. Santos, facing revelations of lies about his past and a federal indictment, became the sixth member expelled from the House and the first without fighting for the Confederacy or being convicted of a crime. Following the vote, Santos expressed defiance, stating he no longer had to answer questions and expressing discontent with the institution. New York Governor Kathy Hochul has 10 days to call a special election for Santos' seat, expected to take place 70 to 80 days from the proclamation. Santos had admitted to fabricating parts of his biography and faced federal charges of laundering campaign funds and defrauding donors, to which he pleaded not guilty. The expulsion followed a scathing House Ethics Committee report revealing campaign money spent on spa treatments, luxury retail, and an explicit online platform.
So have you spoken to leadership today about the upcoming vote?
I have not, sir. You're all going to hurt yourself there.
Make way, take the elevator. Calm down. You guys got to let him in the elevator. Let's go. Ready? Are you confident, sir? Come on. Are you confident?
The U.S. National Highway Traffic Safety Administration said on Friday that it is opening an investigation into 73,000 Chevrolet Volt plug-in hybrid cars. This over reports of abrupt loss of power, failures to restart, and other issues.
Chevrolet's plug-in hybrid Volt, a favorite among consumers after it debuted back in 2010, is now under investigation by U.S. auto regulators for alleged incidents involving loss of power, failures to restart, and other issues. The National Highway Traffic Safety Administration said it was looking into 73,000 Volts, model years 2016 through 2019, after 61 complaints tied to the Battery Energy Control Module, or BECM, which manages the charging and use of the hybrid battery. Some said there was little to no warning before the loss of operating power or reduced power mode occurred. Parent company General Motors previously issued a technical service bulletin saying if vehicles fail to restart, the BECM may need to be replaced and reprogrammed. That's according to NHTSA, which added that GM has not issued any recalls. Some owners have told NHTSA they have waited months or been unable to get replacement battery modules after experiencing the issue. An owner in Los Angeles said the Volt, quote, suddenly and unexpectedly lost propulsion while driving, adding that the vehicle is no longer able to turn on or drive. Another said the Volt would not drive more than 35 miles per hour on the highway and that it randomly stopped driving when in electric mode. The automaker did not immediately comment on the investigation. The Volt topped Consumer Reports' annual owner satisfaction survey in both 2011 and 2012. GM ended production of the car in 2019.
OpenAI's ChatGPT became the fastest growing software application in the world within 6 months of its debut. 1 year on, it has sparked the launch of rival chatbots, raised questions about the role of generative AI in society, and disrupted several industries. Take a look.
OpenAI's viral chatbot ChatGPT launched on November 30th, 2022. In the past year, its uncannily human-like responses have taken the world by storm. While it has answered millions of user prompts, its growing influence has also sparked serious inquiries into, and movements against, the role of AI in society. It's a conversation that also played out in a tumultuous boardroom battle that saw the sudden ouster and return of CEO Sam Altman. Here's a look at the impact ChatGPT has had on the technology sector. ChatGPT became the fastest-growing software application in the world within 6 months of its debut, sparking the launch of rival chatbots and a bevy of startups. Its competitors include Bard, Anthropic's Claude, Character AI, and Microsoft's Copilot, which have seen a surge in users. But ChatGPT commands the lion's share of the market. ChatGPT's launch sparked massive investments from top tech players. Microsoft and Alphabet have invested billions to improve their cloud computing capabilities and take on more AI workloads as businesses embrace such tools. Chipmaker NVIDIA became the first and only chip company to join the $1 trillion valuation club. It's widely considered to be the biggest winner of the AI boom, due to its position as the key supplier of the chips used to power ChatGPT and other generative AI applications. With these applications running mostly on the cloud, vendors of cloud computing services like Microsoft, Amazon, and Alphabet have also seen their shares surge. OpenAI and its backer Microsoft have been slapped with several copyright lawsuits. Authors including John Grisham, George R.R. Martin, and Jonathan Franzen are suing over the alleged misuse of their work to train AI systems. The companies have denied the allegations.
From a fresh alert on the perils of artificial intelligence to Russia's ambition to compete with Western technology, take a look at these major stories of the week in the AI revolution.
From an extinction warning for humans to what Vladimir Putin thinks about artificial intelligence, this is Generation AI. OpenAI staff warned the company's board of a breakthrough in tech that could endanger humanity. That's according to Reuters sources. Details of the warning remain unknown, but it was reportedly a key development ahead of boss Sam Altman's brief ousting from the company. Vladimir Putin says the West can't be allowed a monopoly on AI. The Russian president says his country must massively scale up its supercomputing capacity and said a new national AI strategy would soon be agreed. But observers say Moscow is hindered by sanctions and an outflow of tech talent following the conflict in Ukraine. NVIDIA appears to have delayed the launch of new AI chips for China. They're supposed to get around US controls on the exports of the most cutting-edge silicon. But Reuters sources say the products are delayed, potentially creating an opportunity for Chinese rivals like Huawei. Amazon has unveiled its own chip aimed at cloud computing applications. It's designed to train AI systems and is said to be 4 times faster than an earlier version. The move steps up rivalry with Microsoft, which unveiled its own custom silicon just weeks ago. The US, UK, and more than a dozen other countries unveiled a plan to keep AI safe from rogue actors. Critics say the agreement isn't binding, and it's full of general recommendations like keeping AI safe from abuse. But US regulators say it's important that so many nations have committed to putting safety first.
Julia Roberts embarks on a thrilling role in a new film confronting unknown dangers and strangers in a gripping storyline that promises suspense and intrigue.
Well, just the idea of playing someone who's sort of intrinsically suspicious and a little prickly, which is not my nature.
Not Julia at all. Not at all.
But to still make her human and approachable and likable and which
I will say only Julia could do.
Well,
with a character like this, I don't think anybody would have hung in there watching a movie about Amanda unless Julia was playing her.
It's working. Get a bat.
I'm so sorry to bother you, but this is our house.
This is your house?
The thing that really struck me about the book was how this theme about how we can easily lose sight of our common humanity when we're in the face of crisis. And I felt like that was just a really good foundation to build a disaster film on, because it was kind of inverting the process of what a typical disaster film is, which is to not to fixate on the disaster elements, but to really be with the characters and have those elements be more off in the distance.
Whatever it is, it's happening to all of us.
I just want to know, what is the truth?
Now, the Christmas spirit is a feeling that lasts year-round for Gingerbread lane artist and creator John Lovitch. The executive chef turned Guinness World Record holder loves getting his hands sticky as he creates his humongous gingerbread village using 800 handmade and home-baked houses, using around 4,000 pounds of candy, about 6,000 egg whites and just short of 1,000 pounds of gingerbread.
This is year number 30 that we've actually been doing this. We started in 1994, and this is the 30th season. It's just been one continuous house party at Christmas, I guess, as you could say. And this is our fourth exhibit of the season. We've already opened in Kansas City, Houston, Texas, Philadelphia, our neighbors, and here in New York City, we just opened this one this weekend. 30 years, went from 14 houses to the close to 800 you see behind me right now. I did try to add in a little bit of Chelsea within the exhibit. Chelsea obviously is a very historic part of New York City. There's very little new construction in Chelsea. So much of it harkens back to the early 20th century and a lot of it the 19th century even. Tried to add in a little bit more, with the brownstone, which is a coffee gum. And so we tried to add in a lot more red brick than we even normally do. We always do the black shutters and the red brick, but we actually added an exceptional amount more of it this year. And then we tried to add in a little bit more of the antique-looking signage. So it creates obviously a level of physical exhaustion, and obviously what it does to your body in general. Just the stress of it, obviously trying to get all of them set up and trying to make sure all the details are just perfect.
On that note, it's a wrap on this edition of the Bulletin. Thank you very much for watching. All of you all have a blessed day ahead. Thank you very much.